Haribo. Jayurada Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihare Kunja Bihare Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girevaradhare Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girevaradhare Yashodanandanam Rajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yashodanandanam Yashodanandanam Rajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Rajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihare Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girevaradhare Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachare Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo Haribo Hare Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Стол ставь.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for coming for Srimad Bhagavatam class. We continue our wonderful chapter about forest of material enjoyments. The verse is which is number 16? No, 17. So here is a very simple Sanskrit, only one line. Kadachin manarot hapagata pitrin pita mahadji asat sat iti swapna nivritti lakshanam anubhavati. I think I just read myself and I can read word by word translation. Kadachit, sometimes. Manuratha upagata, obtained by mental concoction. Pitr, the father. Pittamaha Adi, or grandfather and others. Asad, although long dead, and although no one knows that the soul has gone. Sat, again the father or grandfather has come. Iti, thus thinking. Swapna nivritti lakshanam, the kind of happiness found in dreams. Anubhavati, the conditioned soul feels. Sanskrit, very special language. Like sometimes some word has some special meaning. 5, 14, 17. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes the conditioned soul imagines that the father or grandfather has again come in the form of his son or grandson. In this way, he feels the happiness one sometimes feels in a dream. And the conditioned soul sometimes takes pleasure in such mental concoctions. Purport. Due to ignorance of the real existence of the Lord, the conditioned soul imagines many things. Influenced by fruitive activity, he comes together with his relatives, fathers, sons, and grandfathers, exactly as straws gather together in a moving stream. In a moment, the straws are thrown everywhere, and they lose contact. In conditioned life, the living entity is temporary with many other conditioned souls. They gather together as family members. And the material affection is so strong that even after a father or grandfather passed away, one takes pleasure in thinking that they return to the family in different forms. Sometimes this may happen, but in any case, the conditioned soul likes to take pleasure in such concocted thoughts. End of purport. Omagyanti mirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurun miritam yana tasmai shri guravi namaha shri chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhuttare svayarupa kadamahyam dadati svapadantikam vancha kalpatarubhesya kripasinubhevacham patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this interesting verse explain about this tendency for speculations. We have this, and sometimes we imagine different things, and they're not always real. Because of our attachments, our mind likes to work in a specific way, to put some different facts, different things together, and make it like reality. Also, before I want to a little bit remember about this chapter, why we are here. This chapter calls the forest, material world as a forest of material enjoyment. Yes, it's like this chapter very good and very nicely remind to us where we now about this, because Shastra is like a light. When you have enough light, you can see everything properly. And Shastra, the spiritual knowledge, give to us directions, like explanation, where we now, what is going on here, what's to expect. And this chapter very nicely remind. Actually, by reading Srila Prabhupada books with his purpose, it's such a powerful practice. You just become aware about your life, you get inspiration for devotional practice, for our path, how to practice properly, what we should achieve. You also, this is Shravanam and Kirtanam. It's a main process of nourishing of our creeper of bhakti. And I would like to ask, actually, can we remember what is the 5 most important, most powerful practices in devotional service? Can we just together? Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam. Listening Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. What else? Deity worship. Okay. Residing in a holy place, in like Mathura. In a temple also. Any temple is like a holy place. Sadhu Sangha. Chanting of the holy names. Don't remember. Yeah. So, just by holding to these 5 angas, we can make very fast, very good progress. We don't need something extravagant, something very special, because this is very special. Holy names, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sadhu Sangha, deity worship, and residing in holy place. When we have this, we make good progress. But Shastra and all these classes of Srimad Bhagavatam remind to us about the importance of this, and actually it's also Sadhu Sangha, and Srimad Bhagavatam itself is like also this Anga, because we get in association of Srila Prabhupada, of other acharyas, because Srila Prabhupada compiled all this purpose by through the like putting there like different commentaries, thoughts from our previous acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami, his spiritual master Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, and others. Actually, today also a special day. Today is disappearance of Rupa Goswami. Yes, Tirubhava Mahotsava, and disappearance of Gauri Das Pandit. I will speak about this later, a few words. So yes, these 5 angas very powerful. And yesterday Krishna Prema Prabhu very nicely reminded to us about holy names, about the importance to chant properly holy names, and about this process. Because we do this every day. We spend for this few hours. Like when we chant 16 rounds, we spend at least few hours. And when we do this nicely, we get good result. We can compare this with cleaning, because we know this Cheta Darpana Marjanam, this process of cleaning the heart. And many devotees, especially who live in a temple, they know what is cleaning. We have to do the seva. And cleaning, it means if you have proper tools, if you have good sponge, good chemicals, you can make it faster and easier. And also with chanting, when we know how to do this properly, we have good consciousness, we take it properly, then our heart will be cleaned, will be clean. And because why we need to clean our heart? Somebody have idea why? Maybe we already good. Yes.
Because Krishna is residing only in the clean heart.
Yes. Actually, in this chapter also was said, when the pure soul wants to give up the Lord's service and enjoy the material world, Krishna certainly gives him a chance to enter the material world. So we came here to material world because, why? Because we wanted to give up Krishna's association and we wanted to enjoy the material world. It's like if we see somebody enjoying in this world, it's not something surprising. I mean, because this world is meant for such personalities. This is all creation, all these varieties of the forms, desires. It has this purpose to give us chance to enjoy. Yes, and therefore, because we have these desires through many lives, from different forms of lives, we have many desires. And this process of our sadhana is help to us to purify heart, to make it pure through this simple process and understand about our real desires to have association with Krishna. Because this process is very powerful, the chanting of the holy names. But we should remind ourselves about how to do this nicely. And for example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives nice advices how to chant holy names. He explains many things in his books, like, what's he say, famous books? Chintamani, Harinama Chintamani, yes, and Bhajana Rahasya. But in Harinama Chintamani, he explained very nicely about different stages of chanting. Like yesterday, Krishna Prabhu mentioned this. And one advice what he gives is chanting among devotees. It's really powerful. It's sometimes we don't maybe take it seriously, but at least I noticed. Sometimes I want to chant also separately. I want to chant somewhere else. Sometimes, but also I see that, especially in beginning of practice, that when I chant alone, I have more chances to distractions. I can take my phone. I can look somewhere and think about different things. Yes. But when you are among devotees, especially in morning time, it is when it's like an auspicious time after Mangalarati, where is Srila Prabhupada, Tulasi, next to deities, then this chanting is more chances to chant better because you cannot take your phone and because devotees sit around and it will be strange if you're just doing all the time on your phone or something else. Therefore, and also not only this. Also, when we among some senior devotees who chant with some taste, they take this seriously because they understand this process of purifying the heart. Then it's like like people going to different things, like going to gym, for example, or some pool, they make some sport. When you go and see some people doing this, I don't know, devotees maybe not going to gym, not going to pool, maybe somebody going. But when you see somebody like, oh, this person, he has a nice form, he swim very good, you get inspiration. You think, I can do also better. Maybe now I'm a little bit weak, but if I practice, I can do better. And same with devotees. When you see somebody chanting nicely, it also can inspire you. You can think, okay, it can be better. And if you see especially somebody that's chanting with taste, then it's also very inspiring. So we can take this opportunity, come sometimes to temple, chant together. It's for family devotees, for the grihasthas maybe it's not so easy, but at least once in a week it's possible. And yeah, in some temples we can see this like different, some specific days they are like meant for congregational, this morning program. Devotees comes together, chant, have Mangalarati, Guru Puja, class, and this brings some life because devotees when gathered together, it's become more, it's more powerful. You can get more inspiration through this one day, and then you go to home, and then with this inspiration you can continue. And gradually, week by week, month by month, we can make more progress, like a community, like a yatra. So, yes, there is some words. I think it's from Bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur. It says, Krishna Bahirmukha Hana Bhoga Vanchakarya. Krishna Bahirmukha Gana Bhoga Vanchakarya. The soul turns away from Krishna, and as soon as he desires material enjoyment, he falls under the grip of illusion. This is a process how it happens. Krishna Bahirmukha. Mukha is face. Bahir is Bahir Nisimha Hridayami. Bahir is external, away, turning away from Krishna. Krishna Bahirmukha. Bahirmukha Jiva. Sometimes we know this term. Hana, Bhoga Vanchakarya. So Bhoga is material enjoyment. Vanchakarya is he desires. So when we turn away from Krishna, we desire material enjoyment, and we go to this forest of material enjoyment. And actually, cities in this material world, Srila Prabhupada in first verse in purport explain about the cities. They like even worse than forests. Sometimes they're more dangerous because, especially if you don't have a friends, if you don't have a shelter, the cities can be very dangerous. And especially because here is a lot of opportunities for material enjoyments. But here is also temples. We can take shelter of the temples or make our home like a temple. So also, there is one verse from Bhagavad Gita. It says, Purusha prakritis thohi, bhungte prakritis jangunan, karanam gunasangasya, sadasat yoni janmasu. The living being situated in material nature enjoys the three modes of nature. This association is the cause of his birth in good and evil species. So, because of influence of different material modes, we have different desires, and we take different forms of bodies and enjoy this. Yeah, this chapter explains many moments about this material struggling for material existence. This also nice quote from Gita. It explains about the struggling. It's from 15th chapter, 7th verse. Mamai vamsha jivaloke, jiva bhuta sanatanah, manasa sthanindriyani, prakriti sthani karshati. It says that a living entity begins material life with his mind and the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. And with this, he struggles for existence within the material world. Yes, because of this, all our process sadhana is help to us to purify the senses and mind. All the practice, reading, chanting properly, we make our mind our friend and our senses, we engage in devotional service. And by this process, yes, we can feel relief from material desires and be more. It's through this bhakti process easier to renounce something, because otherwise, like yogis or some impersonalists, they have to make a lot of efforts to restrict themselves from something. They're very strong, become like sannyasis, or some have a sadhana of, I don't know, they like they trying to understand what is spiritual, what's material. They choose. I mean, it's more difficult. But in bhakti, through this process when we serve deities, when we associate with devotees, there is more easy to control our senses. And when senses controlled, then our mind become like our friend, because he knows through Shastra what to do. Sorry, a little bit my logic, like not very structured. I was writing different moments. One interesting thing it said about fruitive activities of the soul. By wandering in this world, soul, it said, the path of fruitive activities leads to difficult mountains. And sometimes conditioned soul wants to cross these mountains, but he is never successful. And consequently, he becomes more and more aggrieved and disappointed. So fruitive activities leads to difficult mountains. Sometimes people go to Switzerland, there is a lot of mountains, and they, because of enjoyment, they want to cross these mountains because they want more efforts. But of course, because of some desires, because they want to become stronger, just have this experience. It's good for health. But in general, because people don't have a higher goal, they spend a lot of time by working hard, getting money, then going to some different places, and spending their time, their life, for what has no meaning. And there is also some words which make us more sober. It said, this material world is simply an embarrassment and is composed of tribulations presented as happiness, distress, attachment, enmity, and envy. On the whole, it is simply full of tribulation and misery. When a person loses his intelligence due to attachment to wife and sex, his entire consciousness becomes polluted. He does only thinks of the association of women. The time factor, which is like a serpent, takes away everyone's life, including that of Lord Brahma and the insignificant ant. So we can see that these material worlds attract us by different desires. We know that sex desire is most powerful. And this family life in this chapter is very nicely shows about danger of family life. Of course, we know that in our Varnashrama system we have different ashramas. And Grihastha ashrama, it can be a good ashram, which helps to us to make a progress. But also it can be danger. It said that wife and children can be like who? Yes. Co-products? Tiger. Yes. Yes, it can be dangerous because, like we in the beginning said, that we come to this world to enjoy. And women nature, they want to enjoy even more because they have very strong senses. And therefore, when we see how Srila Prabhupada organized everything, how he engaged all of us, Matajis, Prabhus, in the devotional service, he made in such a way that he gave the purpose. And he make the people married, devotees, and he gave them different responsibilities, like opening. At that time it was very active, opening temples, preaching, deity worship. And when in such a way you engaged, then you become safe in any ashram, because actually you remain like a brahmachari in any ashram, and you have a goal not to enjoy but to serve Krishna. And this goal is yes, it is what we all need. This is what can make us happy in a proper way, because the devotional service is susukham kartum avyayam. It gives to us this happiness. But sometimes we don't have it. Maybe we don't practice like very properly, and sometimes these material desires arise. Or even when we practice properly, we know about these beats, about when you nourish or creeper of bhakti, by Shravanam and Kirtanam, there is also different widths, like which is material desires. It can be karma or jnana, different desires which come up and they distract you. I want this position, I want this wealth, this and that. Or it can be karma, it can be also jnana. Jnana, when you think, I just want very peaceful, very good life, I don't want any problems, I want liberation. Like this goal of a religion, and many times it can be material, these four purposes of any religion, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. When you don't have a higher goal, this can be even spiritual, so-called spiritual life, it can lead to moksha. And this can be also like a distraction from pure bhakti. We will speak today also about Rupa Goswami, because Rupa Goswami, he gave to us, he wrote very nice books, and one of these books is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is very important book for all of us, which explain about this science of spiritual life, how we go through from Shraddha to Prema. It's very interesting how we pass through different stages: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. And there is so many nuances in the different stages and different explanations of different bhavas, emotions, different anishtita bhajana kriya, nishtita bhajana kriya. When your practice is nishtita, is fixed. When it's unfixed, when you distract for different material desires. And yes, and when we study this carefully, we can get more inspiration to practice properly, remind ourselves what is the goal of our practice. Because practice can be also, it's simple, but sometimes we can lose some important things because we have different external activities. We learn like how to play mridanga, how to cook, how to even give a class. Give a class you can also make like externally because of some prestige or what else. Different desires can come up. But when we read Shastra, it reminds us, in every purpose, Srila Prabhupada reminds us about these pure intentions, about higher goal, about this prema, selfless service. Because of this, like we spoke about 5 angas of bhakti, most important angas, and it said Sadhu Sangha and Srimad Bhagavatam are very important. And why is Sadhu Sangha very important? Can you give some ideas? You what?
You come nowhere without Sadhu Sangha.
Nowhere. Maybe somewhere. Maybe higher planets.
We can receive taste of bhakti only from pure devotee. And Sadhu Sangha, it means that it is accumulation of big amount of the devotees, and some of us are more advanced and they receive the taste of bhakti from pure devotees, and they can give us like a share or something, and bhakti and of course, we receiving taste. We don't receive them pure bhakti, but we accumulate like shadow from our guru. So it is very important.
Thank you. Actually, I just noticed that nobody translated to Loretta. Maybe somebody can do. Jagat Kirti, or because she don't understand English, or you can maybe.
She said Sophia understands.
No, 1%. It's not enough. Please translate. Will be better. Yes, Sadhu Sangha is, of course, we all want Sadhu Sangha, and sometimes Sadhu available, but we may be busy, or maybe we not appreciate the Sadhu. But also, what we can do every day is reading Srila Prabhupada books. It's very powerful Sadhu Sangha. Because Srila Prabhupada, when one reporter asked him about what will be with your movement after you die, Srila Prabhupada said, I will never die. Can you imagine? So Prabhupada is still with us. And he said, I will live always in my instructions. And this is Sadhu Sangha was available to all of us when we read Prabhupada books. And solution for reading, sometimes for me even, for different devotees is difficult to read by different reasons. Because, this very powerful anga of bhakti. Shri Jagannath Baladev Padar Devi ki jai, Shri Gorantai ki jai. This very powerful anga of bhakti, and some is because we have this material inclinations. For us, it can be like a resistance. It's really like some subtle psychology. Why we don't read? It's very simple, but why it's not happened? Because of this. Our material conceptions. Because something keep us in this bodily platform, and we like can, do so much activities during a day, but we don't have a time. I speak also about myself. I know it's like you just do so different things, but what is the most important is Shravana and Kirtana, process of nourishing our creeper of bhakti, we can neglect very easily. And therefore, one solution is like this, like Srimad Bhagavatam classes. It's good because we can listen, we can participate in this. But reading more even is very powerful, because when you read, you can put more attention inside. Because when you listen, sometimes you can, especially if you listen to a class and doing something, it's very easy to just be very distracted. But when you read, it's like more chances that you focus. Isn't it? No? For you, classes is better. When you read, it's difficult.
Reading is better. Because to discuss that is a very good type of association with a father or friends, and you can overthink.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just in principle, hearing, if we actually hear from the advanced devotee, then we are carried by the consciousness of speech. We just read on our own. So hearing actually is quite powerful.
Yes, good point.
Both are important.
Yes. Thank you. But also one thing about reading, what can be very helpful is reading together. Devotees doing groups. Like Krishna Prema Prabhu, do you still have a group or not now?
Bhakti Shastri.
Bhakti Shastri, it's another. It's very good, like Tara Prabhu, he reads every day. He has a few groups with devotees. Yamuna has one group. Actually, I also made one group. It's for Prabhus only, but if any one of you like to read together, I'm doing this on Mondays, 3:30, because I read with one devotee from Mayapur, and for him this time only good. Monday, 3:30 p.m. But I can also have one more group if somebody would like to join. But I prefer this, make like gender separate, because it can be both sometimes, but I noticed that sometimes you're brahmachari and then some unmarried Mataji's read with you, and it's like, it's like you more time, it's like it's a different energies there, because better to this, this anga make properly. Actually, I have also idea. I hope it will work. I'm just creating some apps, like web apps, and I want to create the app for these reading groups to help facilitate this process of reading. Which you just go to website, you can create your group, and you can see different groups, and you can join groups. You can also see time zones and this. And I hope when I made this, every one of you will join, make your groups. I think it can be very helpful, because reading together is really very nice. And it's also can be, in one way it's help ourselves, in another way it's help others, because especially for new devotees who maybe not have taste for this, devotees who already have, they can just read together, because if you read yourself, why not read together? And you read together, and then in this way you progress together, and you can do once in a week, you can do every day, choose like your temp. I will let you know when it will be ready. It takes some time to develop. But actually nowadays it's become quite faster and easy because of AI. You don't need to know all these programming things. You have to, of course, understand how it works, but because of AI, I just also, after 10 years of break of web development, I can see that nowadays it's become very more easy. If you have some ideas, it's more easy to make it some real project without big expenses. Yeah, we can use this for Krishna. So time is coming to the end, and I'm just say a few words about Rupa Goswami because today is his disappearance day. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he created many books for us, and he is we all called Rupanugas. Rupanugas, the following of Rupa Goswami. And I think among 6 Goswami, he is a main. Even Sanatana Goswami, he is considered his spiritual master. But as I know, when we look on 6 Goswami, Rupa Goswami is like he's the most senior. Isn't it, Keshav Prabhu? Yes. And yes, he wrote many famous books about bhakti process, like Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, what explain about what is good for bhakti, what is not so good, about loving devotional processes, about association with different devotees, and about even like very high topics like last verses about reciting Radha Kunda, always absorbing the holy names, what is our goal. And he wrote this book, was already spoke about Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what explain about all the process of bhakti, from Shraddha to Prema, different kind of bhakti, Vaiti bhakti, Raganuga bhakti, different obstacles, process of purification, and also about rasas. He explained this very nicely about different rasas what we can develop when we go higher, when we're serious enough, when we achieve nishtha and we go further, then we can get to know about rasas and develop some specific rasa to Krishna and nourish this taste instead of chewing the chewed from this material world. Adanta gopir vishatam tamisram punah charvita charvananam. Instead of being engaged of material rasas and chewing the chewed, this what is already we tried so many lives, we can nourish the rasas of bhakti. And Rupa Goswami, he considered is a Abhideya Acharya. In the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, and Rupa Goswami, he is represent this path of Abhideya, as I know. And this, what is a practical devotional service, how to achieve Krishna. This Sambandha is knowledge about us, about Krishna, about devotional process, and Abhideya is a practice, and Prayojana is a goal. Of course, he wrote also books about very high topics like Ujjvala Nilamani, Lalita Madhava, and Uddhava Sandesh. Different. What is we also like devotees can nourish sometime because these books is very nice. You absorb your mind in the pastimes of Krishna and have this higher taste. Because we also have to read sometimes these books, as I understand. Of course, isn't it? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave to us this process of Raganuga Bhakti, of Raga, attachment. And to develop this, we also need to read this Tattva and Rasa. And when we read Rasa, it also gives to us this taste about Krishna pastimes, about different these rasas, and it's make our process of bhakti, our sadhana, it's make it more sweet, because when we worship deities, when we cook for Krishna, when we distribute books, when we have these rasas inside of us, of course it's like also we cannot imitate this. We cannot just look at every Mataji as a gopi if we're not on this level. Sometimes we need to control our senses. But also when you read about pastimes of Krishna associates, it helps, especially when you worship deities, when you worship Gauranitai, Jagannath. When you read about their pastimes, And when you worship, then it becomes different. Because our process also is Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Smaranam. When you have a Smaranam, it also helps you to go deeper in your practice. And this practice is help to overcome our anarthas, because only by austerities it's maybe not always easy to overcome anarthas, because they're very deeply rooted and they can come many times and distract us. But of course, we sometimes have some difficulties, but then we stand up again and continue our practice. And it's even in martial arts, especially Eastern martial arts like Kung Fu and something. People, they like have to tolerate a lot of pain. When they have a training, they become beaten in different places and they fall down many times. But then they wake up, stand up. They have to do this maybe 100 times in one training. And in the bhakti also, sometimes we have difficulties, we fall down, but then we wake up and we continue bhakti. And in this way, we make progress, we become stronger. And we also, when we develop a higher taste, then it's more chances to absorb our mind in a proper things and not be distracted by something lower. So this is about Rupa Goswami. He also opened the temples, like Radha Govinda temple. And maybe I cannot speak more about him today. And also the disappearance of Gauri Das Pandit. Gauri Das Pandit, just say a few words. He was a close associate also of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. He was a close friend of Nityananda. Somebody remember something about Gauri Das Pandit? Actually, it was nice from Chaitanya Charitamrita. I found it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It said, Nityananda Prabhu is the topmost branch of the indestructible tree of eternal love of Godhead. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the sub-branches of that topmost branch. Gauridasa Pandit is one of the most important sub-branches of the Nityananda branch, of the Chaitanya tree of Bhakti. Of this particular sub-branch of Nityananda, Sri Krishna Das Kaviraja Goswami has written, Gauridasa Pandit Yara, Prema Dhara Bhakti, Krishna Prema Dita Nitya, Dhari Mahashakti. Nityananda Sama Arpila, Jati Kula Panti, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Kari Pranapati. Gauridasa Pandita, the emblem of the most elevated devotional service in love of Godhead, had the greatest potency to receive and deliver such love, making Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda the lords of his life. Gauridasa Pandit sacrificed everything for the service of Lord Nityananda, even the fellowship of his family. Gauridasa Pandita ki jai. Rupa Goswami ki jai. Okay, devotees, if you have some questions, comments, donations, please. Yes.
About reading Goswami's books and also the books of many other acharyas, I wanted to add something. Definitely it's true that we have to read them as well. But as I heard from senior devotees, that we have to have qualification to read those books. And first we have to ask our Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, if we are qualified to read those books. Otherwise, if we are not ready, it can lead us a little bit in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
There is a chance that we can misunderstand.
Yes. Yes, good comment. Yeah, especially some books like Govinda Lilamrita from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and sometimes it becomes like we read only these books, or most of the time these books, but not Prabhupada books, and then it can be a problem, especially if you're not on this level. Yes.
This topic also, because you mentioned at the beginning about the mind, that we can be so much in the mind that we think something to be reality which is not.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask you, how do you deal with that? Because I also have problem. My spiritual master also told me.
Mm.
I think we all have to some degree. And how do we deal? How can we understand what is the mind, what is not the mind? Especially in practical dealings. We can understand it when we read, but then to apply is something else. I think. For
Yeah.
example, somebody is doing their service, but then they're late all the time. And, for them it's like, oh, today this happened or that happened. Every time though, every time something is there. So, for example. So then, they think, no, it's just today, not so bad. But we can see from outside, it's their mind, telling them something. And we have the same thing, like.
Yeah, good question. How to overcome our mind and how to understand when it's mind, when it's not. Like, about somebody coming late, of course, it's not good, not so good. But if this person still have a sadhana and mostly coming, it's quite good. If you compare with, when your mind totally in Maya, like you just have different material desires and spend most of your time for to achieve these desires, then it can be even worse.
Yeah, I think, sorry, it's just not that it's coming late, that's not the problem. But that he thinks it's not the problem. That in the mind he's telling us, 1 minute, what is 2 minutes.
Yeah, but I can answer in general about how I work with my mind and what can be helpful. In general, all topic about sattva guna it's very important in this case, because when we influenced by rajas and tamas, then there is more chances for speculation what lead to material desires. And the Srila Prabhupada spoke many times about the importance of this, and Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam explain about every time about the importance of sattva guna. And when we, through sadhana, through devotional practice, we make our consciousness purified and act out of duty, not out of material desires, then it will help a lot. But this also requires proper education, because without it, we can see that some devotees, people come to temple life, especially some young people, new, and yes, they have different material conceptions, different anarthas. We all have this, and if you don't have education, it's difficult to. Because, for example, somebody chant japa and get asleep, or cannot regulate his sadhana, speculate on different things and have different excuses. But when we have education, we just come together, we spend time, quality time for understand about what is nama tattva, why we need to read books, how to respect seniors, devotees, how to respect time. And when we do this together, especially together, I also noticed many times living in different temples that when devotees come together and have some meetings and associate with each other, it's helped a lot in service and in sadhana in general, in relationship as well. Like before we did these brahmachari classes, discussing some topics, it's helped too. Or because sometimes, especially we live in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga there is tendency to find faults, to see something bad in each other, and maybe even we have all good intentions, but because we not associate enough, because sometimes our sadhana, even association can be formal, we have formal Srimad Bhagavatam class without much discussion, and just somebody speak, everyone just on their own, then going to their services, and day by day like this, without close associations, it's become, maybe a little bit went to another topic, but in general, this sattva guna important. Sadhana, wake up early. When you wake up for Mangalarati, I also noticed this. When you don't wake up early, it's very easy to be influenced by gunas, because sometimes you may be very tired, you want to sleep late, and you don't sleep enough. But still, when you wake up later, because of this, processes, different processes, sun, rajaguna, and then it's easier to be influenced by gunas during the day. Okay. Yes.
I have some thoughts to share to this point
Yes.
also to you. I also have this problem a lot that I'm with my mind and then whatever, but devotees told me I should ask others, like I should share what is going on and what makes me to be honest with yourself and instead of justifying yourself when our mind wants to really justify our misdeeds, it's better to honestly say, yes, I'm late and it's a very bad habit. And oftentimes it actually offensive maybe towards other devotees who are made to wait for me. And yeah, so just honesty, just cultivating this honesty, because what's the point to be a hypocrite? Just
And I think this is the point of sadhusanga, that we have these, senior devotees, Shiksha Guru, which is so important, understand how we can speak to the devotees around us and how to ask. But if one person can only make that, otherwise we're lost. If we're on our own minds, so very difficult. So we all should also make this effort to find somebody that who can guide us, whom we can accept also.
Yeah, thank you. Good points. I mentioned this about meetings together. It can be helpful in this way because some culture of association with each other. For example, like devotees live together, like we live, and when we come together, like once in a while, once per week or once per few weeks, and there is more chances to discuss something because many times different things going on somewhere in the background, and we have different expectations, different maybe what you maybe don't like. But if we come together, it can be done in a proper, respectful way. Because sometimes you maybe don't follow something because you think nobody care about this. For me, it's now better. It works like this. And you maybe not feel also that you're part of some team, part of something common, and therefore you on your own. But when you organize something common, these some meetings and discussions around the Shastra, and also a little bit when you're sharing your minds, you speak about, I like this, I appreciate this from others, but this little bit I don't like. I want to ask if somebody can change this, and this can be helpful, this proper environment. Actually, we usually have a lecture till 8:30.
Can I add something? I was raising my hand.
Okay, just shortly. Because Switzerland here should be strict. In Lithuania, because in Lithuania we have classes usually half hour more after.
You can add it on Instagram.
So you were telling that chant of the devotees is more powerful. Yes, it is right. But like community of others,
So we should make sometimes japa walk together.
Have nice oxygen in here.
And now this is Japa walk with oxygen.
Yeah, please come today to Harinam.
But I think it is very beautiful lake here and nobody walking in moonlight. But make a lake together, condition together.
Then you have to become grihastha. If you live in a temple, you have to follow sadhana. This is standard. Okay, thank you very much for discussion. Grant Rashtamad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.